Hello. This being my first vlog, I think I should introduce myself. Hi, I'm Jim, and probably from the few words you've heard, you've made two conclusions. One, that I'm an OAP. Well, yes, I do collect my pension, but I prefer an acronym to stand for Old Age Peddler. Yes, I cycle. The second is, from my accent, you probably think I'm from north of the border. Well, yet again, I moved down here about 40 years ago and live in the northeast of England, in an area known as Teesside, which is at the mouth of the River Tees, situated approximately 30 miles south of Newcastle, and which is bordered by Hartlepool and Stockton on the north, and Redcar and Middlesbrough on the south. Now I'm sure you're interested in what I cycle. So here it is, my current bike, a Dawes Super Galaxy of 2013 vintage. It's a 10-speed triple with 48, 36, 26 on the front and 11 to 30 cog on the back. I also have on it a frame bag for power pack and snacks, along with a rack bag for waterproofs, repair kit and anything else I fancy taking with us. The total weight of the bike in this current configuration is approximately 17 kilograms. I live in the town of Billingham, which is situated just to the north of Stockton. The one good thing of living there is that within 2 kilometres you can be out in the country. Just cross the A19, which skirts the town of Billingham, and this is what you see. Today we're going to take a trip down to two iconic Teesside landmarks. But before we get to the first, we'll visit a couple of villages. Here we are entering the village of Wilvison, which is only about 3 kilometres from Billingham town centre. On the left is the village pond. Not looking its best at the moment, but it will be amazing later this year when it'll be a riot of white and pink water lilies. I've always been intrigued by the sundial that's on the side of this cream house ahead on the left. That's a date of 1723 on it, and I'm not sure if maybe somebody important lived in the house at one stage, but it does show good time. What you must remember though is it's always GMT. As we leave the village, it's back down to Billingham and round the outskirts as we make our way to our next port of call, arriving at the village of Copan. It was a medieval village which was planned and laid down in the 12th century after the Norman conquest. It is renowned for its long and wide village green, but in the age of the motor vehicle there has been a road put through to allow access to the houses. The original tracks around the outside of the green can be seen behind me. Originally these were for horse and carts in the olden days, and certainly would not be appropriate for modern vehicles. Having left Copan, I'm cycling down the eastern edge of Billingham. Maybe you can catch sight of the landmark that we are about to go and visit. We'll soon get our first full view of the Tees Transporter Bridge, the first landmark that we are visiting. The Teesside Transporter Bridge was opened in October 1911 after 14 months of construction. It has such a high superstructure because a condition of building the bridge was that it must not affect the navigation of tall sailing ships as they made their way as far upstream as Stockton. The main purpose of the bridge was to transport workers to the factories and foundries in Middlesbrough on the south of the river, and to transport goods across to Port Clarence on the north side of the river. An amusing anecdote about the bridge was, in the 70s, the comedian Terry Scott was travelling from his hotel in Middlesbrough to a venue in Billingham. Unfortunately, he mistook the transporter bridge as an ordinary toll bridge and managed to drive himself and his Jaguar straight off the Southend pier. The only thing that stopped him going in the river was the safety netting. In years past, there were steps up both the north and south supports with a walkway across the superstructure. This meant that people who were late in coming back from Middlesbrough could climb up the south side, walk across, come down the north side. Some of these people also had bicycles. Not too bad a job if you currently have a carbon bike, but think back to the 40s and 50s when the bikes would have been made of steel. Originally my intention was to take us across the transporter bridge on the gondola, but unfortunately this isn't possible as corrosion has been discovered on the superstructure, which means that the bridge is currently closed. But as by magic, here I am on the southern side of the bridge. Only a couple of 100 metres if you came across on the gondola, but it's taken me about 10 kilometres through industrial estates to get here. For those of you interested in how the bridge works, here is the diagram at the viewing point. The gondola is suspended below the superstructure and takes passengers and vehicles from one side to the other. It's pulled along on rails which run on the superstructure, and a cable is connected to a winch house that pulls it in either direction. It is on the rails and their supports where the current corrosion has been found, and will take some months until it is repaired. Hopefully once it's repaired and the bridge is opened again, I'll be able to take a trip across and you can see what it's like from the gondola. Before you leave the viewing area, linger a while. Look up and downstream. Your efforts may be rewarded with the sight of a ship transiting the transporter bridge. I was lucky enough to watch this ship being assisted as it travelled upstream to berth at a wharf. Now the time has come for us to leave the transporter bridge and to make our way to our second iconic landmark via the industrial estates. We leave the industrial estate on a cycle path heading towards the river. And emerge onto a gravel path running alongside the river, leading towards our next landmark. On the opposite side of the river, you can see a number of wharfs where our ship could have been heading to. Just ahead there is a ship berthed on one of the wharfs. As you can see, the path is tarmacked where it is popular with pedestrians and cyclists. However, as we go along, it's worth occasionally looking on the river, as you may be able to see some seals. As I come round this last corner, we will get our first proper view of our second landmark. It's the Tees Barrage. The barrage has two crossings. The higher one is for motor vehicles, whereas the lower one is for cyclists and pedestrians. Here we are joining the lower crossing of the barrage. From the lower crossing we can see that the barrage separates the fresh upstream river from the brackish and tidal downstream river, using a number of pivoting gates to prevent any tidal surge from coming back up and contaminating the upstream water. There is a much better view of the pivoting gates from this angle. However, there is very little water flowing over them due to the dry weather we have had in the past few days. Compare that to the flow in February 2020 after several days of heavy rain in the upper reaches of the River Tees. Small craft can transit the barrage using the lock system that you can see ahead of you. Only one set of gates is shut at any time, so that the narrow section in the centre can be used to lower and raise the level so that the vessels can then move into whichever section of the river they require to. The large freshwater lagoon upstream of the barrage is used for rowing, water skiing, jet skiing and occasionally powerboating. There is also a smaller lagoon where adults and children can be taught to canoe and kayak. Alongside the Tees Barrage is an international standard whitewater course for canoeing, kayaking and rafting. It was opened by the Queen in 2012. The blocks and gates formed by the poles are all movable so that it's possible to set up courses of different difficulty. The emergency services also use a whitewater course for training in rescuing people from fast flowing rivers. However, there's also the possibility that these people may be in vehicles. The ramp here allows them to put different vehicles into this pond and divert the water through it so that they can train for that as well. At the bottom of the whitewater course there are 4 Archimedes screws. When the course is running, these can lift water from the bottom of the course back to the top of the course to increase the flow through the course and make it even more rapid. However, when the conditions are right, water can be fed from the top of these down through to the lower end of the course and out into the river, such that they can generate electricity. Unfortunately, due to the coronavirus pandemic, the course is currently closed. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've certainly enjoyed making it and learning the skills of video editing. I'll leave you now. Hope to see you in my next video. Bye for now. Stay safe.